Coming out of the nightmare abyss of the piney woods of East Texas, the Random Horror Show, the best in commentary and reviews in horror, sci-fi, fantasy, cult classics, and the obscure from film, television shows, and literature. Join our horror hostess, Keisha Lacey, as she is scary, but random, horrific, but funny. Last but not least, she will chill you to the bone.
Welcome back to the Random Horror Show. I am your horror hostess, Keisha Lacey, here straight in the Piney Woods, where we have commentary on everything from like horror, science fiction, fantasy, cult classics, and the obscure, with movies, television shows, and sometimes we throw in a little guest. And of course, we have a recurring guest coming back to the Random Horror Show, all the way from the UK, the author of Recursion, and he was also my first guest on this show, David J. Harrison. Welcome back, David. Welcome
Hey,
back.
thanks, Keisha. I'm so pleased to be here. I love the Random Horror Show. I love everything it stands for, and I just love being random. So it's a nice place to come and hang out and be random with you.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. I love the enthusiasm of anybody just want to come out and just hang out and have a good time and just be random as hell and just let it all out. You know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and those chances are few and far between. I tell you, as you get older, it's beyond the writing, beyond being sort of retreating into that for your kicks. Reality, I don't know. It just becomes all too real all too quickly. So this is a very hallowed space we're in right now.
Yeah. So I sure do appreciate you like coming back. Oh, it's so wonderful. But we're gonna be catching up with you. We're gonna be catching up. So like tell everybody what you've been doing like lately. What's been going on?
um, yeah, not a lot, and also a lot. It depends, outward in the real world. Let's not talk about that. That's just full of work and full of deals and this, that, and the other. I probably can't talk about that anyway because it's all sort of business sensitive. So that's one side of my life, but the side that I guess I'm here to talk about is the writing side.
Yeah.
And I think as Kurt Vonnegut says, the big show is in my head. So it's all about what I've been writing, what I've been thinking about, what I've been creating, and that's actually quite a lot of things.
Please, please. Have you watched any movies lately?
Jesus, I watched that Elvis movie the other day. I don't want to talk about that. It was absolutely terrible. I couldn't
Oh,
believe it. I couldn't believe I sat through it. I don't know what I was doing for 2.5 hours, but at the end of it, I just thought, why did I do that? Why? I have no idea.
you
But no,
know
there's
what? You know what movie you should have watched? Um, you should have watched Thanksgiving. Has that hit theaters over there in the UK yet?
no,
Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about two movies. Thanksgiving. It's the new Eli Roth movie. Thanksgiving.
right. That sounds
Yeah.
good.
Have you? Yeah. It's
No,
really nasty, gory, everything. Just all in a demented mind of Eli Roth. It's a really good movie. It's a really good horror holiday slasher film.
yeah, very good, very good. I think the last horror film I saw was I rewatched Annihilation. I can't get enough of that. That was pretty good film. Lots of
Cool.
nice cosmic body horror, time warps, recursive, um, storylines, and
Hmm.
mixing up DNA in a kind of, you know, there's a worthy sequel to The Thing, and yeah, that was pretty good. I think that was the last horror I saw.
Okay. Okay. Um, you said body horror, and I was like, ugh. I don't know. I have mixed emotions about body horror. It's just something about. I watched this movie. Have you ever watched this movie called Society?
No, no.
Oh. It's got a lot of body horror with it. I mean, um, it's a really strange film, but the body horror in it is just really just oh I couldn't I watched it and I had to like fast forward through a lot of parts, and it was some really interesting parts about it. I'm just gonna tell you, just if you ever catch it, just watch it. I'm not gonna tell you about it, but it's a very interesting film. Trust me, it's very bizarre, but it has a lot of body horror with it. It's
Yeah,
real good.
well, maybe I'll give it a miss. I don't like body horror. What I was doing, but the bit in Annihilation that I'm talking about is
Hmm.
where DNA gets mangled up and they get
Ah.
attacked. They get attacked by the monster, and it's that old trope where you got to
Hmm.
stay really still, and then the monster has to come and slab all over you, and you can't blink, you can't move, and it's that kind of particular moment that I think a lot of films do. That these do it pretty well, but because this beast is mixed up with human DNA, it's pretty creepy, and it's the sound as well that it makes. I think is very effective. But I was watching it because I was editing a book I wrote a while ago that's not due for publication yet,
Hmm.
and it's a comedy horror, and it's one of
Oh.
these sort of another cosmic horror, I guess. But there's a lot of mixing up of bodies into an amorphous being, that kind of thing. It's a well-worn trope, but it was a challenge to write because I don't watch that kind of genre, and I don't really particularly like it. But I had to
Hmm.
get through it. I had to teach myself, what were the signals, what was how do you do body horror, and I had to write it. But then I quickly, having established it, and I wrote a few pieces, threw them away, wrote some more, and then I wrote something that I was happy with. So I put that in the manuscript, and then I thought, do you know what? I don't have to do this again. All I have to do is to signal to the readers that this type of thing goes on in that room, and then I can have my characters hurry past the room, and I can describe it, just by the smell or the sound or something. So,
Hmm.
I know I'm learning all the time, but films are great to learn from. Books are obviously good, but films as well because there's a lot right in horror films these days. It's one of the best genres for you know the discipline of portraying something to an audience and making an audience feel exactly how you want them to feel. I think
Hmm.
horror does better than most.
And you said it was a comedy. So was that
Yeah.
hard to like write? Because I heard that like comedy is very hard to write.
Yeah, you don't set out writing comedy. You set out for something that you don't mind if it's funny. But
Hmm.
horror is funny, isn't it? Horror is comedy. I think the two things are quite misunderstood, but for me, it's hand in glove. When something really scares you,
Yeah.
your first reaction is to scream or shudder, but your next reaction is to laugh about it.
Yes, it is. It really is. When my daughter and I was watching Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day, I mean we like oh my god, we had like all these euphemisms like damn, and we got scared at a couple of parts and some shockers, some jump scares, and we laughed afterwards.
There you go.
It is. It's true. Like when you get scared or you see something like this in a horror film, and afterwards you laugh or you just start laughing because it looks silly until something like bigger and badder and much nastier comes out. You're like, oh crap, and you start to yell. And so it's like both. It's like either or. It's like a vice versa.
Yeah,
But
that's right. So if you start off with a comedy, it doesn't work because you can't switch from comedy to horror, I don't think. But you
Mhm.
ratchet up the horror just to the right amount, and then you throw more and more in a way that builds that up, and your audience will get that. It's a very mature audience, I think, for horror. So I'm hoping they'll get it anyway whenever the book comes out, whenever that will be.
Well,
But let's see.
well, whenever it comes out and everything, I'm gonna be like. like reading all through it and laughing and cracking up. I love a good horror story that has like comedy in it. Cause I mean, like some people don't like with the difference like with books, novels or whatever that has like comedy in the horror, horror comedy.
Yeah.
It hits differently than with the movie because you have some people who don't like horror comedy films. And I was just like, but either if it's like not like comedy in it, in a horror film, you're still gonna find something funny. Or somebody's gonna say something, a line that's like really atrocious, but it's just so stupid you just have to laugh at it. So, there's people that's like, horror comedy is just bad, it sucks. I'm like, yo, like to me it's like the best ones because I do enjoy like a really good horror comedy like Shaun of the Dead. And that's a good one. Like I
Yeah.
laughed my butt out, all through the whole movie. There's like Frankenhooker. Frankenhooker was one of those cult classics. Man, I misjudged this film because of the cover, and I was like, this shit looks stupid. But when I watched Frankenhooker, my goodness alive, you talking about that movie has like a very solid message behind it, and it has so much comedy. It was crazy. And of course, I love Frankenstein. Any adaptation of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, that's just bars right there for me. But it was
Yeah.
but
How
Frankenhooker was so funny.
how about Young Frankenstein?
Oh, Young Frankenstein when I was there, putting on the red.
That's hilarious. If I watch that, my wife and family know for a week I'm singing that in that stupid way, and I can't stop. And they hate it. They absolutely
You,
hate it. They know when I've watched that because I'm just crazy
that
for that
is
scene.
funny. That's funny. That's real funny because I still do it in that same, voice. Like, putting on the red. Like,
I,
you can't stop doing it because it's just too funny. My,
yeah, I
my
mean, I'm pretty sure all of your listeners will be familiar with that scene, but if not, they should go out and watch it now on YouTube or something. It's just the funniest thing they'll ever see.
my daughter became a Mel Brooks fan in high school, and
Mm,
she just like just watched loads and loads of like Mel Brooks movies, and she loves Mel Brooks movies. But
yeah,
that was actually my first Mel Brooks movie as a child was Young Frankenstein, and I just could not just stop laughing. It was just so good.
yeah, it's a
It,
good one. It's definitely a good one.
it is a good
But
one,
that's not
but
horror,
of
of
course,
course. That's just straight up comedy.
I know it's just straight up comedy. But everybody loved them some Spaceballs.
The bath. No, was it? The bath was that stupid dog thing, but it was use the farce, wasn't it, or something?
You barf,
Spaceballs,
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, barf, and then Pizza the Hut ate himself, and then of course like the whole desert scene when they was looking for like Lone Star, like we're combing the desert, and then they had like the black dude like with a pig to my I ain't found shit. I like couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah,
It's
it was
just
pretty
a
good.
scene. That was so meta. I was like, that scene is just a trip to me. I'm like, they literally having combed
But
in
that whole
a
film,
pig.
that whole
I,
film was, I mean, it was basically more like a National Lampoon's to Star Wars. But his other films, I think, Blazing Saddles. I mean, come on.
come on, man.
Genius,
That
genius.
was
And then the way that barroom fight just spills out across and breaks down all those barriers, so it ends up across the film set, and everybody's fighting from all of the films that they're making, not just where they on set of Blazing Saddles. That guy is a genius. He was doing
that
stuff back then that people aren't doing now. I mean, it's just great.
that was one funny movie, and it went. Of course, how current times are. Maybe a little bit. It's bit problematic, but still, I'm like, I love that film because that film was the shit, and I would just watch it over and over, just like Young Frankenstein. I like Mel Brooks's work, but Blazing Saddles was like a really excellent film. Um, like that was a banger right there. Like Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, of course, Spaceballs. There's a couple of them, like A History of the World. That was a pretty good one too. Those are bangers.
Yeah, pretty good.
I love those movies.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's interesting. You mentioned Mel Brooks and that film. You're right. That is got a lot of problematic places in it. But then, I've been reading a lot of westerns. I don't know why, but I got into the western genre, and I was reading Pulitzer Prize winning westerns by what's his name, Larry McMurtry, and things like that.
mhm.
And there's a lot of problematic stuff in there, but the way he describes it is really straight down the middle. But yeah, I was having a hard time just looking back into the past like that. It's difficult. Anything you do, anytime you look backwards, you wince, don't you?
I mean, I'm from the South, and so like, Blazing Saddles is not problematic to me. To me, I just think it's like a really wonderful film. It's just it's a hoot and a half to me. But yeah, like you notice like you know what, that would be really cool if we had like a really good horror, Western horror, because a lot of people are not into. I noticed like there's a decline in Western movies.
Yeah.
It really is. So is musicals. Musicals. I just watched a film called Anna and the Apocalypse. It's a really good film. And that's
And
going to be one of the reviews. That's going to be one of the episodes, podcast episodes, is Anna and the Apocalypse. But it had like this musical. It was a horror Zed movie, but it had like it was like a musical also with it. But it was pretty cool. It was very different, and I enjoyed it.
yeah,
I
yeah. You
really
see
did. I
what
enjoyed it.
singing undead. We're back to Young Frankenstein, aren't we?
Yeah, it was it. Well, the dead wasn't singing, but it was
Oh, that's all right then.
yeah, the characters, they were singing. It was like you kind of felt like you was. I never watched Glee, the television show, but
No.
it felt like Glee, and also some Shaun of the Dead. It had some comedy in it also. Um, but it was a zombie apocalypse horror film. And but it was like really sad, and it was very emotional. It just felt like I felt it a lot in my heart. I was like, damn, it's around Christmas time and this is all happening. I'm like, gee whiz.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I'll
they
look out
did,
for that.
yeah, it's called Anna and the Apocalypse. It's really good. I liked it. Very different. It's different. It's very creative. Everybody's so creative. Have you ever watched those videos? Have you ever heard those videos?
No.
You need to watch.
No.
You need to look it up on you. No, she's on TikTok. She's on TikTok and YouTube, and it's this lady out of Philly. And there's people that make these big, huge mess of food, and they're trying to be very creative. There was a couple of them from the UK. There's some guy, he put chicken in the microwave and try to make a pizza, and it looked like whole slop. um, it looked like pig slop. I have no idea, and I was like, these people are trolling, or they're really for real of making food like this. But she does like a little commentary on them, and it is so hilarious. Of like way how she tells, like, well, put it in the oven for like 365 days. You know, she just come up with these ridiculous numbers, and I was like, wow, she sounds like me. Like, oh wow, like when I see somebody, like I haven't seen you in like 10,000 years. They're like, it has not been 10,000. Well, it's felt like 10,000 years. But you need to go check her out. But she's funny. She's like, it's like the everybody's her name. I think her name is Panera or something. But she's on YouTube and TikTok, and she does like, and that's her like little catchphrase. Everybody's so creative. It ain't easy if it ain't cheesy. You know, if it don't, that's what she said. She said, it don't slide down easy if it ain't cheesy. That was like, that shit had me hollering. Like, she has me crying. Like, if it ain't. Don't slide down easy if it ain't cheesy, because everybody likes to throw cheese on everything. I'm like, everything does not everything does not need cheese, and I'm lactose
Well,
intolerant.
tell that to the Swiss. Everything has cheese.
Mm,
Fondue, cheesy, toasty things. Yeah.
they put
I go to
cheese on
Switzerland quite a
toast.
bit. I have a lot of cheese. They put a cheese on everything. It's called what is it called? A Savoyard cuisine or something. And you go and then they have a big grill machine that just shines on a half side of cheese, and then you put your stuff underneath, and it just throughout the meal the cheese just drips over whatever you put underneath it. It's bloody delicious, incredible. Yeah, I like cheesy things.
I wish you could see my face at the moment. I'm just making this like really just horrible, just disfigured, disgusted face of like everything is just cheesy and stuff, because I'm just like, and then I'm
Yeah,
just thinking about my stomach, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's just like, because I'm a lactose. I mean, there's some things I can have like that's dairy, but I just have to be careful with. But just me being lactose intolerant, I'm just like, oh,
yeah. Well, that's a shame because my mother always told me that if you ate cheese before bed, you'd have nightmares. So I thought cheese and horror would go together pretty well. Cheese and horror.
like somebody like eats like Colby Jack and like Monster and Brie and Swiss and provolone. It's gonna be like all these like different type of cheeses that gives you all these different type of nightmares, and they're all like demons and stuff. That would be really cool to write.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what scares the crap out of me, that cheese that comes in little individual packets that you have to peel off, and like burger cheese, but it's not quite cheese and it doesn't quite melt like normal cheese and it doesn't actually act like normal cheese. That's
That's
scary.
plastic.
I
That's
plastic
plastic and
cheese.
oil. Yes, oil. It's oil and water, because we used to eat that as kids, because we're my grandma and then they're like, we're not spending this amount of money on real cheese, so we have to get imitation cheese. It doesn't melt. It's oil and water. It is plastic. It tastes weird. Um,
Yeah, but I
and
can't have a burger without it. I've got to have it, but it's
actually
scary.
they don't put like the imitation cheese on burgers, like, because they put like real ass cheese on burgers. Trust me, because I've ate one like a cheeseburger, and then 20 minutes later, I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom. Yeah, when it's fake cheese, it's like, yeah, when fake cheese from like real cheese. So, what hamburger have you ate with fake cheese?
If we're doing it at home, homemade hamburgers, got to have that plastic cheese. I don't know, maybe growing up in the 70s where all you got was plastic cheese on those things.
Bless your heart. I got the
I
plastic
know.
cheese too. Growing up in the 80s and the 90s, we had that plastic cheese too. But we also had that government cheese. So I don't knock it down for government cheese, because that made the best grilled cheese sandwiches. And if you heard about like the cheese that we like, eggs, milk, and cheese was like for people who were like low income, working class people, and they had dairy products. And the best thing that a lot of people got was this big block of cheese. We call it government cheese, but it was like it was USDA cheese. I don't know what super cows that they put in this cheese, but it was a really good cheese. You have to get basically a battle axe to like cut the damn thing. And you can't cut it like in slices, like thinly sliced. I mean, it's got to be a little bit thick, but it made the best grilled cheese. You can also make macaroni with it. But guess what? It constipates the hell out of you whenever you eat your delicious grilled cheese. But I'm telling you, everybody loved that cheese. And they stopped making it. And I'm just like, damn. But that was record for some really good cheese. And it was by like, the government. I don't know what they put in there, but it was good.
Yeah, they probably put crack cocaine in it or something.
I don't know. No, not really. I don't think so.
Keep the population
I don't
subdued.
I don't think you can put that rock up in that cheese and everything. I mean, it was like a rock, you fiend for it because it was really good cheese, but that would be very impossible to put rock in there.
Yeah, well, there's a reason it's not made anymore. You just need to find out what that reason is. It's like a
I
whole
don't
conspiracy
know.
theory around that cheese. Let's start that
Oh
theory
Lord.
now.
That's not the conspiracy theories. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of conspiracy theories. Everybody is. I'm like, why? I'm like, that makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, that's because if you're not into conspiracy theories, that's because everybody else is talking about all the good ones without you somewhere else.
I don't even care if they talk about the good ones or the bad ones or the mid ones, mediocre ones, or whatever like that. It's just like leave me out of it because I really don't want to hear
Yeah, you see,
it.
if you're not part of the conspiracy, then you'll never get invited to the good conspiracies. No,
I
I've never
get
heard a good conspiracy theory. They're all a bit rubbish, aren't they? I think
it.
a good conspiracy is one you never hear of.
Yeah, that's
So
right. The good ones you never hear of, the bad ones, the mid ones, you always hear those. You're like, rah, rah, you tune out.
yeah, exactly. Anyway,
No
let's not.
way. Oh, so though like your father has passed away and everything else, but he also left a legacy. And just reading up on your dad, and of course, my condolence again. But he
Thanks.
did. He left a legacy not only of what the work that he did in his life, but also his writings. And so I was like, yo, that's what gave you that. He passed down that legacy of writing like to you. So and of course his book Anomaly, and I was reading it also. I didn't get a chance to like finish it up, but I did, read a novel. I loved it, what I'm saying. He really had like a really good pacing with his story, and kind of took my edges out when I seen a couple cuss words in there. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, he daddy be cussing these books. Now it's just his characters, but that's just me in my
Yeah,
little head. I'm like, oh my God, he used salty language. But clutching my pearls. But he really is a really good storyteller. And I did, I did enjoy Anomaly. Like I said, I didn't finish it because I was just got super busy, with my like instructing and everything else. But he left so much like a really huge impact, not only just not in your life and your children, and your family and everything else,
yeah,
but it was like a whole bunch of other people too.
yeah. Well, thank you first of all for the condolences, and thanks for being so kind about my dad's writing. Um, my dad he was very prolific. He had loads of stuff published. A
Hmm.
lot of things he'd done traditionally published, and then he got a kind of bored with the Neolithic timescale that traditional publishing takes. So he started his own publishing company and just banged out all of his writing on that. He published other authors as well, so he's actually got a stable of other authors that he's published through his company, but mostly himself. Um, and I collaborated with him. We wrote a book
Hmm.
together with an Irish author, the three of us, which I think we're going to call Crack City, and that's with some agents at the moment. I don't know. I'm not sorting out the sending out another author is, but Dad was so prolific. We'd all be in our writers' meeting, and we'd say, right, okay, we need to rewrite this chapter, and we need to make this happen and that happen, and then like by the end of the day, my dad would send in 5,000 words. He'd have just done it. He was amazing, amazingly prolific, and they were all brilliantly written words as well. Very good. So his writing muscles were very prodigious, and yeah, he was a great inspiration. But that book Anomaly you mentioned, I was going to say that's my favorite of his, but it's my second favorite. The
Hmm.
favorite one is, and this is obviously he's a huge impact on me, and I'm still going through the grieving process, I guess, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
But part of that process is to take one of his unpublished manuscripts and to rework it, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. And it's amazing because his voice is with me. It's as if I'm talking to him through that work. So it's a lovely process. Actually, it was quite difficult at first, but now I find it easier, and it's a lovely process just to work through that manuscript, rewrite stuff, completely change it. And my brother's helping as well, so that he's contributing story ideas and we're bouncing off each other. So it's just a lovely thing to do. I was actually on the Eurostar a few weeks ago as well, and I was writing away, and
Mhm.
I've got used to writing in public places now. It used to bother me a lot. Used to get quite self-conscious about it, but now I don't care. So I'm writing away, and the guy next to me on the Eurostar was obviously looking over my shoulder, reading every word I was writing as I was writing it. So there's some pressure there, but okay, I'm used to that. And then he started laughing, which was good because this is a comedy, and he apologized for laughing. So we were chatting, and he was actually just engaging with the story and the character that I was writing about. We had a nice chat about that character and how my dad had got that character perfectly well. And
Mhm.
the guy turned out to be a psychiatrist, and he started talking about that character was presenting in this way, and we together with this complete stranger on the Eurostar, we invented the whole backstory to this character that my dad had written. I knew all of his psychohistory. I knew exactly what drugs
Mhm.
this guy was on. I knew
Mhm.
exactly how this guy's relationships were and all of this stuff because this psychiatrist engaged so well with this character that I was sort of writing. And this is a character that my dad had invented. And to get that kind of response from a stranger on the train, I think is a testament to how how well my dad wrote and created characters.
And you got me a little. I got a little bit teary. I had to wipe my like tears away whenever you mentioned that your continuation of like your father's manuscript. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I mean, it just got my heart. But that's wonderful. And your brother joined in, y'all bouncing off ideas and stuff. So I was just like, dang, that's the reason why I got like teared up and stuff. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is like it's wonderful, but it's like, his words like live on, they live on like through you and your brother, and it's like really he was actually a pioneer. To me, he's a pioneer because he wrote, and he was like, you know what, I'm sick and tired, I'm fed up with like publishers, so I started my own publishing editing business. And he,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, he was a pioneer. Like
Yeah,
he was
and
a trendsetter. He was ahead of his time. Now we have like independent writers, we have, independent, publishers, things like that. But he was ahead of his time.
yeah,
That-
no, he was like that. My dad, he just saw something and went out and did it, and didn't care. It hadn't been done, didn't care if it was a good or bad idea. He'd just try it. He was a serial entrepreneur in the sense that he just tried stuff. He just saw that it could be possible and went for it. So this particular company called Open Circle, he
Mhm,
actually created it with an author called Stephen Leather, and
mhm.
they became friends through it, and Stephen mentored him through setting this up and everything else. So you know, at some point I've got to get to grips with it and to see what needs to be done with it. But at the moment, it's still a bit too hard to do that kind of thing. So and also, I'm time poor. I've got all of this stuff to write for myself as well as this other project. So we'll see how that develops. But yeah, he's certainly, and thanks for recognizing that about him. He really was a pioneer in many ways as well, not just writing, but he was an industrial chemist, and he took
Yes.
a similarly creative aspect, view on that as well. So yeah, he was a brilliant man. He was very good. So
Yeah,
thanks for mentioning him. I really appreciate it.
I mean, like, with, I was just like, with, he was a chemist and stuff. And I mean, I just like, boom, just like, oh man, his dad is awesome. I was reading all about his work, how he helped people, and then of course, with his writing, and then you just now saying that he just like became like an independent publisher and all of that, serial entrepreneur. Um,
Yeah, what's
I
really
can
going to
relate to
surprise you?
that right there.
Well, yeah,
Like,
you're a bit like that as well. But let me just tell you something because I've just remembered. The thing that's
mhm.
really going to surprise you is that one of his other things that he was in his past, he he was an agent. He was to a he was a motor racing agent. So
Really?
yeah, so he used to follow. He was my Danish uncle Chris. My dad used to. He was his man. He was his manager. That was it.
Uh-huh.
So they went around the world doing stuff and following him racing and doing deals and doing all kinds of things and a lot of that actually he put in his books, thinly described Sicilians and
Uh-huh.
Italian types, making him offers he couldn't refuse. So he
Wow.
changed the names to protect the guilty and stuck it all in his books. I mean, they say write what you know, but sometimes it can be a bit dangerous. But anyway, he lived through that. So no, he was
Well,
great. But yeah, you've got so many irons in the fire as well, so you'd completely relate to that.
he is. And he has like like his, like the interaction, like, on Facebook, he listened to your first interview, and I was like, oh, that's his dad. And I just looked at him, he's like, he looks like he was like a lot of fun and like was so cool. Like in his time. He looks like he would just tell a joke and just go about like he looked like he loved life. And I like that he went on like the own beat, with the beat of his own drum, because he was just like, I know there's rules, but I'm gonna bend them a little bit, I'm gonna make my own. And that's what he was giving me, when I was reading up on him, and the way, I mean, he just like really supported you and like every way. And I was like, yo, like he is the real deal. Like he is a
Yeah,
fascinating person. So
yeah, he
I was
was,
like,
and he had very different influences to me. Of course, he
mm-hmm,
sort of was an adult in the 70s when I was just a kid. So, his main influence was Bob Dylan and Kurt Vonnegut. And
mm-hmm,
so I bought him this little doll of Kurt Vonnegut that sat at his desk. And for, 10 years or so, he was writing next to this little Kurt Vonnegut figure. And then, on his death, Kurt came to live with me. And so I build Kurt into, when I go on my website and stuff, and I do some stupid book reviews and bits and pieces now and again just to amuse myself. And it used to be from, as you know, Luna, my dog, used to do book reviews, and but
yes.
now Luna does it with Kurt. So I've got a bit of my dad as well coming in and bringing in the whole sort of wacky 70s Kurt Vonnegut side of things. So yeah, he continues to influence me from beyond.
That that's how they, what, that's how they do it. They just like influence you from the beyond, or you hear their words, or you see something that's happening like in a situation, you can just not thinking about them, and then you start to say the things that they say, and you're like, oh wow, I just said. Oh, like, you're like, what's going on now? Are you,
Yeah,
like you're talking to me? They're like, yes, I'm talking to you. That's the reason why I told you to say that. You're like, oh, okay.
that started a long time ago. The only difference is now when I catch myself saying stuff my dad would have said, I don't stop now. Whereas I used to go, whoa, I can't say that. My dad would have said that. Now I just let it
That's
go.
hilarious, because I still say things that my grandmother says, and then I say things like my mom like says to. Well, actually, like some of her sense of humor is her perverted sense of humor and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, that is so my mom. And I was just like, never mind. I just gone with it. And I was like, okay, whatever. But
Yeah, well, the difference is,
yeah,
yeah, but now you have a duty to do it because
I-
if she's not around to say it herself, you have to do it.
that is right. And one of the things that really shocked me and I forgot is I went to go visit her aunt, which is my great aunt. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I carry a machete in my car and it's hidden in my car. And she's like, Vicky used to do that. That's my mom's name. She's like, Vicky used to do that. She used to carry a machete in her car. And I said, wait a minute. You're telling me my mom carried a machete in her car? And then I got to thinking, I was like, you know what? She actually, and I forgot that she did used to carry a machete in her car. And I was
Crikey.
like, oh my gosh, I'm exactly like my mom. I mean, it's for
Wow.
protection. We live in the woods, we live in pew pew pew. East Texas. I mean, the bears and tigers, might come out and like carjack us or something like that. I'm just saying, but still, we carry a machete. And I was like, if that is not like the most Haitian thing, and I was like, am I Haitian? I was like, nah, I think I just country and stuff like that. But I get that from my mom. My mom carried a small knife. She also had a firearm. She had like three or four firearms. But the most important thing that she had in her car, just in case, is that she carried a machete.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that we'd never get away with that in the UK. Definitely not. I think yeah, I guess the most useful thing you can carry in the boot of your car is a cricket bat, but that's only to and from a cricket match. Otherwise, you'd seriously get into trouble.
I'm just gonna say
Yeah,
I mean, hey, I have to have something to protect me.
yeah, you
I
do,
do. I
you
just
do.
have to have, I mean, I have to. I have to protect myself. I really do.
Yeah, it's important. You gotta be safe.
I'd rather be safe than sorry. Well, speaking of Luna, how is Luna doing?
Oh, she's great. She sends her love. She's good. She's sometimes she oscillates between being a very naughty dog and being a very nice dog. But she's really smart. As soon as the post comes, she runs in, grabs a letter, takes it to her bed, starts reading it. So I swear she's teaching herself to read. No, I think she's taught herself to read. I think she's probably teaching herself to write now. But
She's
she's
gonna
very
be,
discreet. I never catch her with a pen in a pause, but she can type really well. She's great.
she's gonna be asking you. Um, yeah, she's like, yeah, I know I can read, I know I can write, I know I can do all this. I can type too, but she's like, okay,
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna put.
we've got an
She's
advent
gonna
calendar.
plan her surprise on y'all. She's gonna
She-
knock y'all socks off.
She's probably on a correspondence course. She's probably doing night school. She's probably come out with a law degree or something before you know
She's doing night school.
it. But she's doing we've got an advent calendar, a doggy advent calendar, and there's a treat in each one. And of course there's, the doors of this advent calendar are numbered. So, we have to we show her the calendar and say, right, come on, Luna, it's day three, 3rd of December. You've got to get the right door. It's surprising how often she can put it that way. So I think she's learning mathematics now too.
Oh snap! She's gonna be like, oh yeah, she's gonna be the smartest one in the house. She's gonna be running circles all over y'all. She
Yeah, but
really is.
her book reviews are gathering momentum. I got lots of followers for her book reviews.
Hey,
She takes a very wry sort of dog's eye view of even the most complex of books. Um, she did a review of June, the great Frank Herbert books,
hmm
and she coined that Game of Thrones in space. So
I read
she's
that in Game of Thrones. Is
well, she has a great way to reduce high art or complex subject matter to its simplest form. She's a lot of fun, Luna. But now, of course, Kurt Vonnegut's joined her. She's got a little bit more highbrow. She needs to get back to, I think, her base reductionism.
Yes, come on, Luna, come to the dark side with me. Just be lowbrow. Just come back to lowbrow. You know what? I actually need Luna. She's probably. I'm gonna say, Luna, can you schedule a trip to come to Texas and teach my dog to not to run out in the road. She's a very tiny, weeny, um, she's half Yorkie and half weenie.
Oh, right.
And yeah, she loves to, she doesn't like to be inside. Now, we do bring her inside when it's raining. She's terrified of like the thunder and lightning. She really is. She's terrified of thunderstorms.
Oh dear.
But she just likes to be a little butthole and runs after cars, and I'm like, nobody really can't see you, and you're not big, and she's blonde. She's like super super blonde, so it looks like a blur of hair. Just it looks like she could be a bunch of leaves together with like paws or
Yeah.
something. But
Were you?
I'm gonna need Luna to like talk to her because she's not. I mean, I talk to Molly all the time when she gets in the road. I'm like, get your ass in this, and she hears me. She's like, oh crap, I messed up. I shouldn't have went out on the road. Like, get your ass in this car. And then I talk to dogs and cats like they're humans, and I'm like, get in this yard right now. And I'm just like, you know better. Why you do that? And she's like, let me like, I know, no, seriously. And then she gets like really like, oh shit. She's getting like, I don't know. She does that a lot. She does talk to you. She
Yeah.
really does. She talk to you, and I'm just like, but you're quit stop doing it. And she's like, all right, I know, I promise this. And I'm like, you're such a liar. I'm like, why are you juice Smollett in this situation? I'm like, just stay your ass out of the road, stay your ass out of the road, because we don't want you to get hurt. And she's so cute.
Well, I
But like
think
I
she
said,
can.
but she's an outside dog. I just don't understand why. I mean, she's really built for inside, but she loves being outside.
Well, you got to admire her aspiration running after cars, being so small as she is. Um, and she's got high hopes, but I think she can understand. I think any dog can understand everything you tell them. They're just defenses that they're dogs, and that they can choose how much they let you know that they can understand. But I think they can definitely understand. Definitely.
Oh yeah, they definitely understand, all right. Because when I got on her butt, and she's like, "Oh shit!" she just
There you
ran,
go.
just ran in yours. She's like, "I'm sorry."
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
yeah, you better be sorry, but she loves my son. Like she loves him to death. She was like, I will follow him. I will follow him. Will he make up? That's her running song right there.
They're nice things, dogs, aren't they? They're just great. I mean, in every way.
It
Yeah. I
and it
just I
does.
just wish we could breed them with put in a little bit of spider DNA, for instance, so that you know when you get the necessary output from the back end, it's already pre-bagged and tidy, just to put in one of those doggy bins.
Did
That
you
would be
just
the
say?
the ideal dog.
Did you just
What?
say spider DNA?
Yeah, if you put a bit of spider DNA, and you could design a dog. There's so many designer dogs out these days. You could you could have a little spinneret in its anal glands or something, and then just poop out a pre-bagged deposit in a nice little silk purse that you could just throw away. That would be ideal. That would be the perfect dog, I think.
I knew you was going with that. It was just like, I'm like, did he just not say spider DNA? And I was like, what? That was so
Why not?
random.
Well, that's the only thing. That's the only problem with dogs, isn't it? Is that they poo all over your backyard. So fix that, and you've got
That's
the
the
perfect companion.
that's the reason why I like cats. I like cats. I love dogs, but I love cats. They poop in a box, and yes, if you have them outside, they poop in the yard, but they cover it up.
No,
Um,
they just do it in next door's yard.
that too. That's the reason why they're smart. Very
Exactly.
smart.
Yeah.
I love cats. They have their own personalities. They Don't Give a Damn.
Yeah, they're
Um,
pretty good. I like I don't know if you've ever read Haruki Murakami, but he's my favorite author. And he in one of his books, I think it's IQ 84, he describes this whole town run by cats. And if you end up in Cat Town, it's like a euphemism for you don't want to do anything. You know, you lose your reason for living kind of thing just because you get distracted the entire time and you end up never leaving Cat Town. So he writes pretty well about cats. And the other author is Michael Marshall Smith.
mhm.
He's a real cat lover, and he writes these amazing sci-fi books. There's one called Only Forward, and he has cats sort of turning up and showing the way as a kind of interdimensional, multi-planar being. So yeah, if you like cats, there's a couple of good recommendations for you.
Like, cats are awesome. Yeah, they really are.
Well, I
So
can't work out whether they're really smart or really stupid, and they have an intelligence, but I don't think it's actually something that's instantly recognizable by mankind. They sort of have this otherworldliness about them, a different type of intelligence that we struggle
that's
to
the reason. That's the
commune with.
reason why yeah, that's the reason why I like them is because they have a otherworldliness with them,
Mm.
very spiritual. I mean, I don't give a shit about like the human like "Boo," and all that stuff, and I'm just like, "Boo." I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't even feel like I'm in living here as it is. I feel like a hollow shell, just going by day, just being mundane. But like the other side of like how cats are, I'm just like, yeah, that's like a whole mood and a whole vibe, and I like that. It's like I don't
And
want to like worry about like human stuff. I just want to be on that side.
yeah.
That side seems pretty cooler over there. So that's the reason why I love cats. They do. I think they do. They have like a very loving late nature. One thing about cats, they are very protective. Trust me, they really are. They are, like I said, they're very loving. They will cuddle up with you. They will kiss you. They will like. They're also one thing about the whole spiritual like otherworldly side and everything is that they do see spirits, and that's the one thing that I like about them. And they also can detect. I mean, just like dogs, cats can also detect like people's like emotions as well as like if somebody is like awful as an awful person, they can detect that. They really do.
Yeah. I taught my cat to sit, and that's the highest level of achievement, I think.
But you can also
They don't.
humanize cats too. It's interesting, but you can humanize them. But I wouldn't do that. I just want the cat just to be the cat. Just the catty is cat, 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 cat. Like Heathcliff cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more that cats felinize humans. I don't know if that's a word, but they certainly make us more like them and stubbornly refuse to become more like us. Good for them.
Hmm. I don't blame them. I really don't. But we're gonna talk about like recursion since like you busted out this thing with recursion and it is a blended genre novel. It really is. And how do you like feel about like just from like your novel but like other people that blend like different genres in their books because uh how do you feel that is that going to be like part of like the science fiction like experience like especially for like a science fiction fan that loves to read or like or watch film or is that something that like I guess to say is it something that's going to be trendy or that's something that like you feel that's going to be something that's going to be like pretty, long running, long term, throughout, I don't know, like lifetimes or whatever. Like, how do you feel like that like about science fiction evolving, especially like within your book, because it's not really generally like totally science fiction, but it still has science fiction elements, but also have different other genres blended into it. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't really have a choice because that's what I write naturally. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I like. I'm a big fan of the blend because that's what life is, isn't it?
Hmm.
And I don't know about in your mind, but I walk around with lots of things in my head at the same time, work, family, everything like that. But if I'm writing a murder mystery, which I am right now, then
Hmm.
I've also got in my head exactly how I might kill people. So I'll meet a complete stranger and I'll think, how would how would a particular murderer do that? Um, the novel I'm writing now, the one with adapting my dad's manuscript, it's got a homeopathic murderer. so
Really?
so I ha- so I'm wandering around figuring out how somebody might conceivably kill somebody with a homeopathic remedy. Uh, so the whole concept of belief comes up, and what
Hmm.
is homeopathy and all of this stuff. So I got all of that going around in my head, and I can't let that go. And so that's kind of the blend. So whether I'm writing a science fiction or a murder mystery or a fantasy or horror or whatever, I sort of just blend it with all of these thoughts that are basically channeled from musings and what have you. It sounds unstructured, but it's not. I put a lot of structure into it to make the blend right. And you never get it right in the first manuscript. You've got to really understand what it is you're writing and who you're writing it for. Um,
Right.
I get genres. There's loads of really good examples of genre writers out there. I know a lot of them through these author things or the Science Fiction Writers Alliance and all of that stuff. And you know, I think you've got to understand the genre first. You've got to be able to write to that genre and know exactly what it is you're writing. You've got to be a student of horror, for instance. You've got to know your Lovecraft. You've got to know your King before you start weaving in Murakami magic and magical reality
Yeah.
into that stuff. You've got to know your cosmic forces. You've got to know gravity waves and the way that they can decouple from linear time before you start
Hmm.
writing a recursive storyline like that. So I think for me, a blended genre is the way to do it because I could do more with it. It's not necessarily the most popular, I don't think, because genres are there to be recognized and for publishers and agents to know exactly what it is that they're taking on if they're publishing something.
Yeah.
It's harder, I think, to get a blended genre to get somebody interested in publishing that. But it's definitely what I see that's the way to go. And I think audiences and readerships are becoming far more intelligent and willing to accept these different influences and they'll pick up on it. So I always say that my readers are far more clever than I am. So if I write it, they'll understand it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I liked about recursion is because of the blend of like different genres in it. Because like if you just wrote just in one genre, like it would be boring as hell. So, and I feel, and it's the way how the world is, because the world is just not just one thing. It's like different things that makes it exciting and wonderful and beautiful. Sometimes it has like, I mean, it has like its ugly side and its evil side, its malicious side, and everything else. And I feel like that you can always like blend the good with the bad with like everything else. It's like a stew, like a really good stew. You can't like just say like this is stew and you just got like a and it tastes like a cup of hot water or whatever. And like, it's like, oh, this stew tastes like shit. It tastes like a hot cup of water. But if you put like your spices, and I'm not talking about just some regular ass salt and pepper. We ain't basic like that. Okay. We want seasonings. We want different vegetables. Vegetables that like go hand in hand with like the stew. Lean cuts of meat. I mean, sometimes you can make like a cheap ass cup of meat. Cuts of meat to like taste really good. You just know what the hell you got to do with it. And I feel that like when you have like blended genre books, that it makes everything feel more alive and you can better connect with the characters. And like you said, you feel like your readers are more clever than you. I think you just underestimating yourself because come on now, you just wrote this, you just wrote Recursion, you just published Recursion. And even I picked up on it, what you wrote. And I was like, dang, this is like some badass writing. I was like, I like this shit. But still, I like how you blended a whole bunch of like just genres with it. And I was just like, yeah, like I don't like my stuff to be basic and boring. I like my stuff to be exciting, and that was a very exciting book. It really is. It is. And I really do appreciate you just doing something that's a little bit out of the ordinary. There's other people that do it too, but it's more of it's not, I wouldn't call it like a niche writing, but I feel that it can be a writing style, how different it is that people will start to pick up on it and really like appreciate it. It's just it's just in its baby stages, but I mean, it will like a lot of like the blended genre like novels and things like that because we see it in our movies also. I mean, I think it's gonna be easily like really gonna be picked up, and it's gonna continue. That's what
Yeah,
that's what.
thank you. First of all, thanks for being so kind about Recursion. It's certainly a lot of fun to write and still gives me a lot of joy, and people like to talk about it everywhere I go, which is great. And especially when I do my day job and I go to these, pharmaceutical conferences and all of this stuff. And,
Hmm.
you know, people want to talk to me about my book, which is lovely. It's
That's
really good.
good.
Yeah, no, it is. But, it's difficult to write genre. It's in some ways you have to be more disciplined and you have to know exactly what you're doing, and you're writing for, again, really clever audiences that have read far more of those books than you have. So this is a readership that is far more learned usually
Hmm.
than the writer, because the writer spends all day at home writing, not reading, whereas the readers, they read everything in that genre. So it's actually really, really interesting and really scary to write a pure genre piece. So I've tried it, and I'm trying to get some agents and publishers interested in my murder mystery, which is
Hmm.
probably, crime is the big genre piece, and it's very formal. You've got to know exactly what you're doing, and you've got to have the right pace, and have to have the right reveals, and it's very, very difficult. So I've tried that, and I've edited the manuscript several times, and I think it's a place now where it's in a good position. But it's a complete departure from horror and everything else. But you see, even then, I can't help just playing with it and just subverting the genre just a little bit. So I've,
Just a little bit.
blended murder mystery with, I wanted to discuss autism, and I wanted to
Mhm.
put that out there. I wanted to write a really authentic autistic character, not one that's for the comic books, not one that's for, TV
Really?
or something, but just, and so I wanted to put all of those autistic traits right on the back burner. I just wanted to show what it's like interacting with, somebody, particularly with the Asperger's presentation of that, but
Really?
but in a way that was super positive, and it wasn't overt, so I
Mhm.
used a pure genre piece to just bring that up. Also, I wanted to discuss imperialism, and you know this book's about this autistic detective, or she's a scientist.
Mhm.
She finds a cure for malaria, and of course, boom, everybody wants it, because everybody wants to control the riches of sub-Saharan Africa. And this is a way to get leverage. So you've got the British government, the Zimbabweans, you've got everyone coming in for
Oh,
this. And she's bumbling around with a very straightforward, characteristic view of the world. So it's actually quite a nice piece of work, if I don't say so myself. Very interesting
oh.
to write.
Yeah, that sounds very, very interesting. That's so yeah, I'm gonna dive into yeah, I can't wait for that to be published. I'm gonna dive into that right there. I mean,
But
I
you know
know
what,
like
though?
mm-hmm,
Well, I writing that and trying to be disciplined is really hard, because I just wanted her to stumble across a room full of dismembered bodies and have some kind of cosmic horror rise up from the shambling mass of body mass, and or I just wanted her to find some some alien in some dark place, you know, and the temptation was there the entire time I lived with this manuscript, and I resisted. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. In fact, my something my dad said. I took him to see, Ian M. Banks, the excellent sci-fi author,
Hmm.
and we were chatting to him, and my dad asked him. He said, "Look, okay, this you just published this book, and it's not sci-fi, and you have half your books are sci-fi, and half the books aren't sci-fi. And when you're writing the not sci-fi books, how do you prevent this thing from happening that I've just described?" And Ian Banks just looked at us both and he said, "Well, do you know what? I often don't. I often start on a normal piece, and then I just have to have a spaceship come down and whisk something away, and then it goes off into sci-fi, and that's just how it is."
Wow. That is awesome. That is so cool right there. But you know what, David? I have some random trivia questions for you.
Oh, crikey! Oh dear!
Are
Let's
you
let's.
ready?
No, I never will be, but let's go all the same.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, we always the random trivia questions and everything. They're not super hard, but you're not really going to win anything, but thank you for participating. I wish I could give y'all something, but at the moment I can just say like good job. Wrong. No, that's
I'm
not
looking
it.
forward to them.
All right, you ready for this first question? You should
Go
get
on then.
these. These are so easy. All right. First, a random trivia question. What is the name of the cat on Alien? What is the name of the cat on the film Alien? What is the name of
That
that
would
cat?
be that would be Jones the cat.
Yes, correct. Jones and or Jonesy is the cat's name. That is so correct. Wow, look at you. You're on fire. Not
I got one.
really. You got one right. All right. Next trivia question. In Stephen King's 2007 science fiction horror film The Mist, name the actors who also starred in this longest running show, The Walking Dead. There are three actors that starred in Stephen King's The Mist, and there also was in The Walking Dead. You can call them
Right.
by their name, their real name, or you can call them by their character
I,
name.
I have no idea, but what date was that? 2007. That was
Yeah,
round about.
there was three
So,
actors that was in Stephen
so
King's
I'm
The
yeah.
Mist,
So I'm
but they
thinking that
also
was round about the time of the Boondock Saints. So I'm going to say Norman Reedus was maybe one of them. Although I
no
don't think I've
was
ever
the
seen The Mist.
you never seen The Mist?
No, so I'll go for, if not Norman Reedus, I'd go for Jeffrey Morgan.
Nope.
He was doing a lot of films around about that time, and oh, I'm going to say Anthea, that actress. I forget her name. Apologize to her, but
Yes, you have one right. You have one
I've
right.
got one.
Laurie Holden, who
That's
played
the one.
Andrea, she starred in The Mist. Um, you know what? I have a bone to pick with you right there. How in the world you did not watch The Mist and knowing you read Stephen King?
Is that the one that they hold up in the supermarket?
Yeah, bro. Come on now.
Ah, okay. I can't remember. No. At least I got one. That'll do.
Okay, you got one. Okay. Um, the other two is Jeffrey DeMunn, who played Dale. If you remember Dale in The Walking Dead, he was in the
Yeah.
first and the second season, and also Melissa McBride, better known as Banner
Oh,
Carol.
Yeah.
Those are the
Oh
three
well.
actors that starred in The Mist. Because, Lil Carol, she came in the store. She's like, "Oh, I'm leaving, y'all. Y'all have fun in the grocery store while y'all battling and duking it out." Well, what's old homegirl now, Marsha Gay Harden, causing all kinds of ruckus and stuff. Oh, I always want to put a bullet in her head in that movie. She made
Yeah.
me
Well.
sick. She really made me sick. That was the horror part about it. It just wasn't the monsters, the intergalactic, interdimensional ones. I mean, yeah, they were scary. It was just the grocery store scene of the people in that stuck in there. That was the real horror about it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. People are scary, especially when they're played by bad actors.
I know, right? All right. This one is just I just want to know. I just want to ask, what is the favorite swear word in the UK?
Um. Is this a trick question? Is it something to do with a politician? Something like Boris?
No, it's just what's their favorite swear word in the UK? You live over there. I mean, it's
Yeah,
actually
I
my
know.
favorite word too.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to say live on air what
Don't say it. Don't
my
say it.
favorite
But
word is, but if you if you want to see me next Tuesday, I can tell you.
you could just say the letter. What's the letter?
I don't think that's the most popular. If we're talking about popular, that'll
Yeah.
be the F bomb, baby. But
There you go. It
I
is. It's the F bomb. It is definitely the F bomb. All right. Next question, random question and everything. Is British food better than American food?
British food is American food. American food is British food. All food's the same. It's
Bam! Bam! You know what? Yes! 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 You know what? That is the best freaking answer right there. No, I'm being serious though, because you're speaking American and I'm actually speaking British.
exactly.
It really, I
Yeah.
mean, yo, like we're speaking like down here in the South, we speak like Shakespearean, like English and stuff. I'm
Listen,
man, you are so freaking clever, bro. Seriously though, like on God, on Crib, swear on Jesus though, swear on baby Jesus, because I'm
you
Ricky
gotta
Bobby now.
sweet baby
But
Jesus.
you swear on baby Jesus. But no, that is like really for real because like oh, it really. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it just flipped. It really has. It just flip like that. But yeah, that's a good answer. I take that. That's a good one right there. Boom, boom. All right. This is your last one. And if you get this wrong, I don't know what to do with you. All right. In
Go ahead.
2013 sci-fi alien invasion film The World's End, name the song and the artist that played in the last scene of this movie.
World's End. Never heard of
You never heard of it.
it.
Oh, Jesus
Two,
Christ.
2013. Is it a cop?
2013 is the
Is it?
last film of the
Yeah.
Cornetto because there's like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End.
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's the one where they're doing a pub crawl, aren't they? The World's End is
Yes,
the
yes,
last one on the pub crawl.
yes.
Uh, yeah.
You need a
Oh
little bit
God.
more context with it. So, in the last scene of the movie, where we have Gary King arriving to the apocalyptic, crazy like bar, what was the song that was playing when they were walking towards the bar while Nick Frost's character was narrating like whatever happened to Gary King?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'd say something silly like Jeepers Creepers.
Um, I give you a hint. This is actually one of your favorite artists. One of your favorite groups that you listen
Oh, it's not a Bowie, is it?
to. No.
Uh, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get it.
Jesus,
I'm gonna
man. Come on. Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna kick myself when I do, but I don't think I'm gonna get it.
Dude. Okay, remember when he was walking and he had the blanks, walking with which is his friends, from a younger year, Gary King, he don't drink anymore. So they went to the
I
bar
don't
to go get their waters and stuff. The
I don't think I've
song that
seen
was
it, Keisha.
you
I don't
never
think I've seen
have.
it.
Oh my God.
No.
I'm sorry, but actually it's actually This Corrosion by the Sisters of Mercy.
You are joking. See, if I'd had seen it, I'd have definitely got that. I just used to love the
I'm
sisters.
gonna I'm
Bloody
gonna let you
hell.
off the hook with this one. I'm gonna let you off the hook because you've never seen The World's End, but it's a really good movie. I like it. It has like all these like bomb songs in it. But yes, but you're right. They go on a pub crawl, but they go back to their old hometown. You know how it is. Oh my God, small
Yeah.
town. Let's go back to our hometown. Nobody's not doing nothing, but oh my God, it's so boring here. But guess what? It's not really boring because there's action.
Well, that's right up my street, that. Especially with the sisters soundtrack. Why haven't I
Yes, they
ever
were.
seen that? Right, I'm gonna go and
Yeah,
see it tonight. That's what I'm gonna do now. Right now, I'm gonna go and see it. Thank you.
yeah, yes, you gotta watch. Yeah, you do have to watch the world. I mean, we have. It's called the whole like the three of the movies is called the Cornetto. So that's what they call it. And so I have all three movies. So I have the whole complete set of the Cornetto, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. And people are like, oh, why is Hot Fuzz in the middle? That's not like really. I'm like, no, it's kind of like a horror. Like seriously, like Hot Fuzz is kind of like a horror. I mean, small
Yeah, it's
town.
cultists,
Big,
isn't it? Yeah, it's
yes, it's called. Yes,
yeah,
yes, and
one of the
they
Bonds, wasn't it? What's he called? He played Bond, one of those guys. What's his name? Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
Yeah,
Timothy
yeah,
Dalton is actually funny. He was the driest Bond. Trust me on that right there. I was like, oh, why he's so dry? But when he started doing comedy, oh my God, he is hilarious. I love Timothy Dalton in like comedy films and even dramas. But when it comes like to like he did Bond, he was just way too dry.
mm.
He was stiff.
Yeah. It was all right. If he had better movies, I think the Bond movies in that era were a bit rubbish. But if he had a
Yeah, he was
better vehicle, it'd have been all right.
he was all right, but he was just too stiff. He was just way too stiff for me. But I like Pierce Brosnan man, Pierce Brosnan is actually in The World's End, and he's still looking handsome as ever. I said, man, that old man is fine. Dang. Even when he
Good
was
old Pierce.
in, I'm guilty. I mean, like, even whenever he was, darn, it was that movie. No, he was in Black Adam, and he was
Oh
in
dear.
there, and I was like, dang, he's still, my God. I was like, oh my God, Pierce Brosnan. Oh my God, he gave me a heart attack. Remington Steele. I was like, I don't care how
Good
old he
stuff.
is.
Pierce
I was,
Brosnan. Good
I was like,
on that bombshell.
well, David, that is enough of our time, and I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get their recursion novel, everything else. It's all on you, baby. Let it
Yeah,
rip.
great. Thank you. Yeah, so you can find Recursion in all good booksellers. It's on, the other swear word, the A word on the Amazon sites. You get it in paperback and ebook. Or you can find me online, David J. Author. No, David J. Harrison Author.com. Check into my website, have a little look around, read a few of Luna's book reviews, a few short stories, and leave with a copy of Recursion. You can buy it directly on that site. Or you can find me on Instagram. I don't even know what my handle is on Instagram, but you'll find me. It's
David
David
J.
J.
Harrison, the
Harrison
writer. David J. Harrison,
Writer.
writer. Yeah, that's
Right.
it right there.
I did have David J. Harrison author, and then it got hacked, and I can't get into it, so I had to start all over again. So David J. Harrison writer on Instagram, but davidjharrisonauthor.com online. There you go. That's me.
Yay! And thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back. You
You're
always
very
come.
welcome.
You're
Yeah,
always
you're
gonna
the
be
perfect
welcome
host,
here.
Keisha. It's great fun. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And you're always family here. When I'm not at Olive Garden, but you're always family here at the Random Horror Show. And of course, everybody, you can find me on Instagram, same name, the Random Horror Show. Facebook. I'm on Threads, but like I said, I don't know. But you can also like email me at the Random Horror Show at gmail.com to review a movie, TV show, book, whatever. Uh, or you just want to be a guest because I'm just lovely like that. And thank you.
Well said. Well said.
But thank you all. Y'all have a great evening. Y'all take care. And this is the Random Horror Show.